The I Am Sasuke progress so far. Okay, so recently, if you didn't know, around last year in 2022, especially 2022, I ran a big Filipino company that appealed to a higher class of civilians. So the one who taught me how to properly represent and, speak properly was no more than an almighty Geekdom 101. And the Filipino reference and what I've been driving through this whole year of 2023 was freshman year, where I wore curly hair, a purple, drumstick, cassette tape for a shirt, white Adidas on my feet that I changed into blue Adidas over time after being inspired by my brother's best friend, Jay Phineas, who is the older brother of Malik and Lewis in junior high, who's also, the bigger brother of Michael, who looks like Superman. So in doing so, how I ran flight school was learning from my mistakes and, not caring too much about the hip hop, due to having multiple children and, marrying with multiple women in the form of Samurai Jack. Always in your sleep, buddy, always in your sleep. Because if not, then you cause trouble. But anyway, officially, what would happen is I would hang out with, Mike and Roberto, or get stalked by Mike and Roberto, and we would go over the versus battles, and the versus battles would cover what we just did. So I ran a top tier anime, top tier studio where it came to rap, and topped it off for a Filipino community just to be safe. And I made the Wu-Tang Clan in my backyard where a policeman was watching. So being separated from this big platform, which obviously went hand to hand in life, I call this bullshit because, what the police are doing is they're standing right by me 24/7, restricting my movements to make sure that I don't live like a grown teenager. Since, work in school is a criticism, and since I ran school due to having a thing that reciprocates, they wanted to give her a test of what would it be if I'm restricted. So they told me, offensively, what would happen if I stopped doing things as a whole and cut, your celebrity life into bits and pieces. And so here we have the progress all the way from the moon base all the way to the I Am Sasuke complex. Now, literally, I was being offered by NASA to be 25 to support my I Am Sasuke. I'm like, okay, then it's an actual process. My family being dead and stuff, and then being a part of a reality show in Funimation Studio, which I believe is in LA, which I made by moving to rock due to having over 1 trillion subs on YouTube and the laws in the universe. And the momentum of Nons on my channel, literally, where else would it be other than LA? And then cousin Noel and grandma had a conversation about, buttheads of Funimation that literally act up worse than Eris when he was in high school. You see how that phone ring was in sync? That's the laws of the universe right there. Now that could be somebody stalking me, but they're blaming it on a phone's alarm clock and routine, so it's a very big false, accusation, and a big accusation at that. But nevertheless, this is serious shit, You can't always be falling back on Fabulous when you have the supersonic platform. So what I did was I drove to the yellow card theory, letting you know why yellow card is, gay and morally gay, but not gay when it comes to writing. So the recent, biggest thing that I taught, Dim and James is that yellow card is on the Spider-Man 2 soundtrack. So in terms of theater and script writing, it's the best, but in terms of personal opinion, it can be overridden by heavy metal, hence Isaiah. So this year I was on, Isaiah heavy. In freshman year, it worked out as freshman year, which isn't fair because that means I'm good in a competition where it's first starting. So I bowed a statement with my moon base can make me 25, so it doesn't really matter. So if you keep your shit away from me, I slowed down, so they would have an evaluation process. I just let them take me, literally it could be worse. So I let them, collect the change, I got brought down to my subs. I was still able to keep my woman, so it was half-half. What I started to do when they started, put me as a black man against me was I started making music like Madonna, hence the kamikaze. And kamikaze is still Japanese, let me remind you. So how I Am Sasuke was this, literally, so I was restricted, from doing anything big. So what I did was I faced Chris Brown in the beginning of the year. It was the same thing, and the whole point of I Am Sasuke was me performing on stage, literally everybody. So I worked out for the build. I felt like that was really cheap. The policemen, are guaranteeing safety in one way, but also, guaranteeing that this might fuck me over in another way. They say, oh, it's not a fight. Oh, you obviously get more woman than Uncle Tommy, so it isn't a fight. Okay, then why do I have to go all out? And so the next video, I'm getting references. I love Alpha Omega because at first I wasn't trying because I was holding back to make sure I got my money. Now I had to go all out. So if NASA didn't keep their promise, literally, I cheated at the beginning of the year, when I first turned 28, with Ashley Hernandez in the Vina, literally lifted them both in the air, pretending that they were Saiyan armor. So I'm like, okay, as the year progresses, there's obviously gonna be some twerk battles, there's obviously gonna be some moving your feet going on. So literally, the gist of it is literally, it's all gonna come together. And then it was over literally at the Deborah and Sydney shit while I uploaded, Deborah's battle. It wasn't in terms of frequency because you didn't put emphasis on anything. You see, last year you put emphasis on the fact that I was a celebrity all around. That's why I made my pony at the beginning of the year. I'm like, hell no, you're not gonna hold this against me. Literally, fucking, it's flow, literally, because what's going on is, how Tekaichi, adds a sacred, literally, those bumfuck Indians and fucking NASA, where every fucking bastard be Tekaichi, and that's heavy on a martial arts, in a martial arts position, what I learned over time. I'm like, and keeping that sacred, keeping those things sacred, literally, is a part of composure. So, literally, what I did was, I broke down what composure was this entire year and let you know why it's better, than martial arts, but why I can't, make the supersonic platform. So what I did was I broke down literally to the police I was watching. There were offering me some lesbian, cops, literally like Alex. I'm like, damn, I already have children and shit, literally. And Alex looks like the guy from Trust and Planet, so no, distinguishing right there. So how I ultimately, saved I Am Sasuke was the Tina Turner. So I locked in with the Saiyan armor in the beginning, but I also, represented that I was, a mid-tier black man with Robert Wilson. So me and Robert Wilson saw Tina Turner together. So if you want to know Gumbo to Gumbo, that's, all together. So I'm counting that four. That four right there was better than literally last year when I was the LeBron James and animated all those fucking versus battles, because they didn't come with twerking, they didn't come with going all out. So what happened is last year at flight school when I hung out with Jesse Nguyen and Dan Vanilla, was obviously a platinum girl. I make sure that one thing is connected to another. So literally, when Uncle Tommy, when dead, would validate Uncle Tommy from Nons, literally, I knew not to say anything and keep my mouth shut because I put something in the middle. Just like Jacinda, you see how Jacinda literally was sucking me up for 2 years. Literally, she's connected to Rev Melita and Cursor Elephant Statue. One character is connected to the other. So if you don't validate one thing, then the whole thing's blown, and that's the main thing. This whole thing is Samurai Jack, and so what they try to do, but they can't, is they try to say, oh, all you do is put Uncle Tommy literally in a cartoon when you already had things confirmed. But in order to make that character, you have to be a master of martial arts. Okay, so that's a really, really, really big thing. So if you are, false accused that literally, oh, you just put one character in, that takes a lot of work already. So last year, junior year of flight school, not senior year of flight school, we went to Krispy Kreme after watching Top Gun Maverick. Ooh, the ultimate what I did, literally. What I did is something you learn in the hood when you automatically do something, literally, and somebody feels it in the echo, and what you did is illegal. So what happened when the cops got to my house, I beat them on what I did by a little bit. So he's like, what I was doing was crazy, but I was guaranteed money. Don't you think it's hella gay that I made Annie on the radio? It wasn't shit compared to Master Plan and everything last year. Since last year came with consistency, and I'll come at you on play ass radio. What the fuck's the difference? Literally walking to fucking Lucky's and getting some protein bars. I'm telling you, the cops will whip me all the time. The cops will whip me to make sure I make a new song to stop me from uploading, too fast. They control while I upload. Literally, then they gave me a warning. I'm like, what the fuck? Are you gonna push crime when you made this bitch sub me up for 2 years? It was so fucking tragic. I made sure that literally there was the thing in the sky that was based off our moon base that I was saying literally junior year flight school, literally 2022, literally just like traffic at Timothy Delgado in plain text. What I did this year was I summoned Nova Synron and it was connected to rap, okay? Connected everything to the moon base about having self-control, but now I'm like, you dumbass, literally, I showed you the process of how I made that shit on YouTube already. It shows you the process of how I made the moon base on YouTube from that Yu-Gi-Oh game for that one laser thing that projects. You're a fucking loser if you don't want to admit that lasers have something to do with projection. So this year, how I was going to top it off was I was going to go to San Francisco with the crew of Alberto and shit, and then we're going to come home to Papa Murphy's. So that's it, literally. That's how literally I run flight school, literally. But with the access for money from the company, with checks written in the form of LimeWire, which I sent on the street, literally in LimeWire. The highest decree is LimeWire, and that's how I saw my checks. And they took them away from me, and then they said I was negotiating instead of going out, but you're not being reasonable. If you're not making these things visible, but you're making sure I can feel, literally, and you're doing that with summer parties for a whole fucking year. We're watching shit like Kid Boo and shit, you can feel the fucking earth from the girl and shit. That's not fucking fair. So what you gotta do? Fucking evolutionize pussy to a part where literally, since you got the feel for a fucking year, once it finally becomes visible, you can't feel it when I grabbed over 3,000 fucking asses with consent at a convention? GTFO, get the fuck out of here. Also rolling with the gist of James and shit. a lot on the replays, but other than that, literally, I'm trying to contribute to the Filipino community, but they're taking advantage of the fact that I'm in a ghetto. But literally, I love Alpha Omega to my fucking heart because, Earth from the outside is an outstanding celebrity. When you make Earth try, it's outstanding.